Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glenn Sutherland. This week, my guest is Mathieu Bourgouin. Mathieu, if you want to start off, I always fumble with his name. If you want to start off with giving us a bit of an intro, who you are, maybe some of your story, and we'll get into this.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the invite. Basically, I started investing in the US in 2014, I guess. And I was coming back from Whistler in British Columbia. So I was 23 years old at that time. I had some money in my pockets. I wanted to invest in real estate because I knew that it will be a good investment. So I look at the market in Montreal. It was pretty high at that time, which is pretty low right now, but still. And I don't know. I kind of did my research, find out that US is really, really cheap compared to Canada. So I started digging a little bit more, I got a coach and started to invest. First one was in Florida, and after that I moved to Pittsburgh, and after that did some wholesaling too. I bought some also mobile home park as well that I sold, and basically I'm back here. I'm a real estate agent based in Mont-Tremblant, Quebec, and I still manage some property that I do have in Pittsburgh. But I sold the majority of my portfolio to be able to concentrate myself on short-term rental.
Awesome. Okay, well there's a lot to talk about there. So you in Quebec, you're looking at the US. Did some Florida, Pittsburgh, or Florida. So let's talk about this, because I remember when we were talking about Florida last time, we were talking about some really low value houses, and which appeals to a lot of people. But then you end up switching and selling that off to do a lot more of short-term rentals in Florida. Why do that? Why switch it up?
Well, basically, I think I was in a good time in the Pittsburgh market. Property were really, really low. We had a good cash flow at that time. Short-term rental was not a thing. There was still hotel and everything. So basically, strategy was buy and hold, fix and flip, or you can wholesale. So I went into the buy and hold, bought some pretty cheap property. I bought one property for $5,000. Cost me more to go to the escrow that costs to buy the property itself. So, but still, it was a pretty good investment at that time. But it's really hard with those type of property to be able to refinance them because they're so low that banks are not that willing to do it. So I ended up with a lot of property with a lot of partners and everything. So sometimes that worked, sometimes that didn't work. So I kind of get out of Pittsburgh because the market went really, really high.
Yeah.
And that's why I tried to wholesale some of the property in other states. I tried to wholesale mobile home park too, which was pretty good at the time. The price were good. I didn't invest in Florida because the market was too strong, too high at that time. That's why I went to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that my coach told me at the beginning of my journey is you want to invest somewhere that you want to go, because Pittsburgh for me was really good because you can go to Pittsburgh, Steelers game, and any type of sport. The team were winning. Montreal.
Oh, yeah. And I love Pittsburgh. I've been to Pittsburgh before. It's is it Five Rivers that meet together where Pittsburgh is? And then it's all these restaurants and stuff, and even the stadiums are all on the water, which is really cool.
Anyway,
sorry.
the city is really nice, and compared to that, I remember I had this moment that I was in Linton doing a renovation in my mobile home park. And Linton is 45 minutes from Bismarck, and it's in North Dakota. So basically, I was in the middle of nowhere in February after Mexico, and I was just oh, that kind of sucks. It's not fun. But if I was there I remember I was going to Pittsburgh for a week, but I was able to go out and have dinner and see some events and everything. But in Linton, like basically they have one bar and that's basically it. So you want to invest somewhere that you can enjoy. I think that's one of the key things that I learned from my journey now.
Yeah. So okay, so you went through, you got a bunch of properties, then you sold a bunch, kept a few, and then you moved to Florida. Or you didn't physically, you didn't move. You're still in Mont-Tremblant, but you moved your investing to Florida. Let's tell me about that. Where did you pick in Florida? What were you doing there?
Well, I guess like with short-term rental getting stronger and stronger now, I think when I put like beside the cash flow properties, besides short-term rental, you still have like the kind of like benefit of the long-term rental with like the appreciation and everything, but you don't get the hassle. You don't have any tenants. Like it's a really good oil machine that you can like uh, bring to life with like the help of your team, your property manager, and everything. So it's less hassle, and you still have like control of your property. You get more money at the end if you play your card right. You're able to basically double your rent if you do it right. So yeah, that's why I moved to Florida, because Florida is always sunny. They can be another market for sure, but I knew like some people in Florida, and it was better to bring people to Florida because some people speak French. Lots of my clients, they do speak French, but they don't speak English. So I was able like to mismatch them with other French Canadian realtor over there. So it was easier to make the deal and everything.
That's cool. So whereabouts did you like? I don't know if you did this all over the place, or did you go like east side, like the Space Coast, or you go up to like Tampa on the West Coast, or down to Miami, or the Orlando
Well,
sort of way, or where'd you set foot?
I tried to focus myself really on the Orlando because of Disney World. It's you can have better place than Orlando for now, because you do have like Disney World, which is like 365 day that you have like people coming in. Like you do have people from Germany, you do have people from France, Australia, whatever like city. Compare like to other, if you invest maybe in Columbus, well, short-term rental, you do have season in Orlando. You have like 365 days. If the economy like start to go down a little bit, at least you do have like the worldwide economy. That if Germany is pretty good, there's still people coming in Disney World like this. Until they have kids, you have like customer in Orlando for sure.
Yeah, but even like for Orlando, like compared to say even Pittsburgh, the price points are going to be a lot more expensive. And like, have you found it still makes, like, obviously you found it makes sense, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's still like you need to work on the deal. Like if you're buying like a cash flow property, so you're still going to do like the strategy, like owner financing. You still have like some people that have some issue that you need to be solved. Like basically, that can be like a debt, and someone needing like to sell really quick because that was like a probate property or something like that. You
Yeah.
still have those opportunity that you can get into it, and that's basically the job of your real estate agent. You need to work really closely with him, and you will be able like to find you a deal. It's just like matter of finding a deal. If you do have the numbers work, they can be a 1 million property, but if the numbers work for you, it will bring the same amount of time that you're going to spend to find the money to buy it, that if you buy a property for 50,000 and you you have the same return. So basically it's just a matter of like finding like a really good risk-free investment. And I think like Orlando is pretty good because you still have like this really good um you have 4 season. Well, you have 1 season because it's Florida, so you still have like a lot of customer coming every single time compared like to Quebec. If you have like a cottage in the middle of the wood, while spring gonna be hard like to fill it up. Or like during winter is gonna be good. But again, if you close by a mountain and there's no snow, well, you screw because your renting's gonna go lower.
Right. And so when you're looking at these Airbnbs, is there any like no-goes sort of things? Like, will you do like an apartment? Does HOAs play into this, or like, condo fees or anything like that? Are you open to that, or you just like you skip those kind of properties? What are any no-goes for you? I have more free content. So if you're interested, I created a PDF guide and a video to go along with the PDF guide to complement it. And what the guide is all about is the 5 most common mistakes that Canadians make when investing in the United States. So if you're interested in this free guide, go to CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com/mistakes. And let's go back to the podcast. And it's free.
Well, it really depends. Like first, you need to be in the zoning to do short-term rental.
Right.
Otherwise, it's an hassle like to do the switch with the city and everything. So, and you want something that it's do have like a lifestyle around it. So especially in Florida, you do have like those community with like pools, video game plays like for kids and everything. You can have like this kind of like include package when you buy the property.
Yeah.
Yes, you can have like condo fees and everything, but if the condo fee brings value, it's a no-brainer for me. But it needs to bring value. But the thing is the same thing with fix and flip. You can do fix and flip with like Airbnb. You can get like this property that doesn't have like a really good rental income, but you can bring it to a really good rental income by adding like a website to it to be able like to do like an ebook for people that coming into the place. You need to bring value to this property, and after that, when you, by example, I'm making number, but you start to having like $60K a year for Airbnb, but you can bring it to, I don't know, $100K. That value will be added to the pricing when you sell it. So you can basically just come in, buy a property, find the optimization you can do for maybe a year and two, and after that resell it. So you do have the appreciation, and it's really easier to sell quick a property that has good number than to sell a property with bad number. Like just like that spread. Some people are just they want to have like a turnkey.
Yeah.
So they can like buy this property, don't think about it. They do have good revenue. They don't need like to team the property. They don't need like to work out like all the ebook, all the management and everything. It's kind of like a turnkey product, and you're making your money. So that can be a business in itself.
Yeah. And I know like for doing Airbnbs, like, cause I did a few of them. Before I started, the big fear was finding someone to clean it. Have you had any issues with that? Or I guess as Airbnb's gotten so big, there's just so many companies.
Yeah. Well, if you ask me that question like 5 or like 8 years ago, I will say like it's kind of hard because you need to find people and everything. But like right now, you do have an app for everything. You have an app just for cleaning people, so you can just enter your address, like you have a lockbox and everything, and they go clean, they take picture and everything. So it's so much easier right now than it was before. And it's the same thing with any investment. Like if I compare like when I started in 2014. And I'm pretty sure you agree with that. It's totally like another level just in 10 years spread.
Oh yeah. No, exactly. Like, because I remember back in, I don't know, it's probably like 2010, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking about doing like an Airbnb cottage in Ontario, and I was just like, how do I find someone to clean this thing? Because I don't want to go there. And yeah. So anyway, it's changed a lot, right? There's just so many. It's a different world for this because it's so popular now.
Yeah, and you have so much like appreciation that you can do. Like just the amount of marketing you can do is really endless. Like basically, you can have like your own Airbnb with your property, so you can rent it out on your website. They don't need to pay Airbnb or VRBO. You can, when people they go to your website, you can put like a Facebook pixel. And after that, you can retarget them like to other properties. So property manager getting like really better at this. So they're able like to lower the spread right now. I see some people in Mont-Tremblant, they ask just 15% for the priority management. And back in the days, that was like 20% and over, and they don't give you a lot, like 50%, 15% now. It's crazy in the amount that they give you because they can automate everything with the AI now. It's crazy, like how much thing that you can just automate, so you don't need like to physically do it. You can just run it like by yourself if you want, but that's not something that I will do like if I was a beginner investor, maybe an advanced investor, but not a beginner.
Yeah, no, it's like makes it hard to be scalable. You build yourself a new job. I know whenever I did my first Airbnb, I did the first one I hired out, and the second one I wanted to do myself just so that I understood what they did. I wanted to understand when they're telling me about like stuff that happened. I wanted to like get a feel of it, right? Because when I did my own property management in Ontario, I got a feel of what it's like, and so I understand what they're going through. And so I wanted to go do the same thing for Airbnb because it's so much different. You talked about selling Airbnbs and the value going up. How do they price that? Is it like a cap rate sort of, cap rate sort of like if you're selling a commercial property? Are you going to be
kind of you kind of like take care of you think about the consideration that you do have an amount of rent that you do have, by example 100K, so you can bring that 100K like to it's the same thing as a capex. It's the same thing as if you have a duplex or triplex. You want to know the number, and you're going to base your asking price on the numbers. Like basically in Montreal, in Mont-Tremblant, they typically go like for 25K over just because they're in the Airbnb zoning.
Okay. So is it like, I'm just trying to figure this out for like pricing these to sell. Like, do you use like a cap rate, or is it more that you are going to go through and just be like, hey, this is what it generated for a year? You could probably do like a T12, like a commercial property, and you could probably like, I'm just thinking because I've never sold one as an Airbnb before, or just like, hey, it cash flows and that's it, or and then based on this number with this kind of mortgage rate, or I'm just wondering how they come up with the number for that.
Well, you still compare like apple to apple. Basically, in Florida, most of the community, they are all allow like short-term rental or not.
Right. Okay.
So basically, when they sell a property, it's usually a short-term rental. So if you do have like property A with like, I don't know, like a revenue of like 80K for the one, like a million, and you do have like property B with like a revenue of 100K for a million, for sure, people is going to take like the property B because they bring more value. Or like you can fix the price with the comparable that you do have. And that's the real estate agent task, to do that, to be able like to give you the best for your money. But yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's just like doing like, long-term rentals or regular houses. It's going to be, if you overprice it compared to what you can rent it for, people, just no one's going to buy it, right? You're just going to be the last one picked.
Sure. You don't reinvent the wheel. Like you're going to have the same thing. Like you still have a product that you want to sell. You just make it appealing with the price and with the renovation. Like if you have the same renting value, you bring the same money, but you do have one that don't need to be. You don't need to redo the roof, by example. Well, it's gonna take. It's going to be in taking fact for sure.
Yeah.
Consideration.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because people are just going to ask for a bunch of closing credits in the US if you don't have that stuff done, right?
Yeah.
And you said before about like, hey, you can, when I mentioned that the properties like, typically in Florida or in Orlando area are more expensive, you talked about buying some with maybe some, distressed seller. Do you renovate the properties with those, I'm guessing? Because they're not going to be like the turnkey style tip, I wouldn't think anyway. Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I just wanted to let you know that I've created a new coaching program. I believe the new coaching program has way more value than any of the programs that have even existed in the past. What we've done is pre-recorded all the lessons so that you can work through it at your own pace, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to meet up on a regular basis to answer the questions, do deal analysis, and actually spend our time together working on things instead of spending our time learning things. I think this will make a seamless transition to buying in the United States and will help you solve a lot of your problems. If this is of interest to you, go to glensutherland.com/coaching. I hope to help you guys invest in the United States, and I hope we provide as much value as possible. Back to the podcast.
Well, it really depends. It really depends on the property, but usually the code is pretty strict. And sometimes it's just like lipstick flip, basically. It's just like to bring value to the property.
Makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else I should have asked you about Airbnbs or what you're doing down in Florida now?
Well, right now I'm doing kind of like those little trips with
Business trips?
Yeah,
business trips to Florida?
Yeah, I do like those little tricks. I bring like people like to Florida, so I do little coaching over there. But mostly it's people that they come into to the property, they see what it looks like, and we do some teaching. We're going to do some visit too, so people like they can see like what sell, what don't sell, and it can help for sure. And I'm a mixed matcher, so I basically bring the clients and I tell them like, okay, this one is a good property manager, this one is a good realtor. You need to work with those; they will help you for sure.
Okay, and then like when those people are going down, are they looking at it strictly as an investment, or they kind of have the feeling that they're going to be staying there part of the year, or a little bit of the year, or visiting it, or what's the kind of vibe you get from the people looking to buy?
They just well, I do have two kind. I got like people that are buying it because they're going to Orlando like every single year or every single 2 years. So they want to have like this investment, and they have like kids around like maybe 6 or 7 years old. They're just starting, so they want to have like this place that they can go like every single year. And I do have some people that they they just buy it for an investment because they like it, and that's it. It's purely because of the numbers.
Okay, and then like with you taking people down there, are you a licensed realtor in Florida, or do you do the kind of have to use someone's license down there and do the split commission kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. I do bring people and with me that are licensed with EXP. EXP is basically all around the world. We do have like agent in around like 24 countries. So I have my agent who work with EXP that are licensed over there. So they will do the showing and everything. So I'm just here to be like the kind of like the bad cop and say like, oh no, that's bad, or like no, take that in consideration. And kind of like a lot of people, they coming from Quebec or Ontario, we don't have like the same building code. So I'm here like to kind of like mitigate the two, be able like to say, oh well, you know that in Quebec we do it that way, but like in Florida they don't do it that way. Like just a quick example, they don't have any basement in Florida, but in Quebec we do have basement. So that's the thing that kind of like resonate with people. Like the pool, like everyone got a pool over there. Like it's not the same thing in Quebec. It's totally, it's an apple and it's in a pear. You just need like to be able like to do the bridge between those two, and be able like to show people from Canada that, well, that's different, but like that's the way it is. So
no, that makes a lot of sense. Plus, maybe like some of those people from Quebec and might need a translator as well.
Oh yeah, a lot of people from Quebec will be the translator. Well, like I do have some realtor that speak French,
Oh,
mostly like in Fort Lauderdale, but I do have a realtor in Tampa Bay that speak French. I do have one in Sarasota, one in Orlando. So there's a pretty good big French community over there. So it's easy for me like to be able to match someone with a French speaking person, or maybe like just a mortgage broker. Now I do have a mortgage broker that speak French, and they have like a really good product for French Canadian to, or people from Canada to be able like to invest.
okay. That makes a lot of sense. Matt, if people wanted to track you down, they wanted to find out what you're doing, how do they find you?
Well, they can go to my website, www.mathieubourgouin.ca. I do have a French page and an English page.
Yeah.
I do some webinar on the side too for Canadian if they want to invest in the US. I'm doing like a little kind of like mini course for Canadian for short-term rental in French and English. It's coming. I'm filming right now to be able like to launch it maybe around January. And I'm planning to do another trip maybe in April in Orlando. So stay tuned for more information.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll put that website in your sorry, in the show notes. Also, maybe just before I go, you want to spell that out for people just so that they can, if they want to find it?
Yeah, well, it's in French, so just Google it and you're gonna find it.
All right. All right, that works.
I'm pretty much like the only one in Quebec with that name, so
Okay.
that's good.
and his name's going to be in the title of the podcast too, right? So
Yeah.
you'll find it.
There you go, Bourgouin. Oh, I got it. When I was playing baseball, when I was younger, every single time my last name got messed up, so I'm used to it. So it's good. It's bring the exotic sense.
Awesome. Well, Mathieu, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate your time, appreciate your knowledge.
Yeah, for sure, and thanks you for the invite.
That was a nice video. Bye.